Good evening. I am Dr. Gloria Pitchford Nicholas, chairperson. Oh, I'll take that. Thank you. Chairperson of the 2024 NAACP Milwaukee Branch Freedom Fund Dinner. We appreciate each of you coming this evening to celebrate our 100 years of serving the Milwaukee community. And the great thing, we ain't tired yet. The success of this fundraising dinner allows our branch to accomplish the mission of the NAACP, which is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons, and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. We don't take your support lightly. We are very appreciative of your presence this evening, and we welcome you to the 2024 NAACP Milwaukee Branch Freedom Fund Dinner. We know the great work of the NAACP, which started in 1909, and the Milwaukee branch opened its doors in 1924, 100 years ago. The NAACP is needed as much today as yesteryears to bring about equality and justice to all. I'm extremely blessed to work with an outstanding NAACP Milwaukee Branch Freedom Fund Dinner Committee, who is as committed as I to raise the funds to move the work of the NAACP forward, especially in present times when we need to be available to our community. The branch office is extremely busy on a daily basis with activities and members of our community coming and seeking solutions to their many problems. We invite you to come to our branch office at 2745 North Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Suite 202. Thank you for assisting the branch in continuing to meet the needs of our community. Please allow me to introduce the Freedom Fund Dinner Committee. As I call your name, will you please stand and be recognized? Douglas Kelly, Matthew Mixon, President Clarence P. Nicholas, my husband, who has dedicated his life to freedom and justice for all, Peaches Reynolds, Shirley Sharp, Mark Truesdale, Dr. Gina Williams, Georgette Williams, Pinky Williams Wesley, Janelle Williamson, and last but certainly not least, Ella Dunbar, our vice chair. Will you please help me to thank them for all their work, and particularly in planning for this 100th celebration. I also want to recognize and thank our great registration and will call team. They just happen to be our daughters and son. Our daughter, Dr. Adrian Ridgway, our son, LeVar Ridgway, and Amanda Trice Brooks. Also, they are joined by Brittany Morrow and a great volunteer from DC, which has come in to celebrate with us, JJ Jordan. We also want to thank our Youth Council for volunteering Don't they look great? And they help to seat all of our guests. We are excited to welcome our keynote speaker who will be with us in a little bit, Congressman and Democratic Leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, which exemplifies our 2024 theme of All In. It is now my privilege to introduce the Reverend Dr. Martin Childs Jr., who will provide our opening prayer and blessing of food. Reverend Dr. Childs is pastor of the Pilgrim Rest Missionary Baptist Church, where he has taken his church beyond their structural walls to assure that evangelism is alive and well and reaches those that are most in need. Pastor Childs, a former teacher and engineer, is a rich servant leader, teacher, and preacher. Reverend Childs earned his Doctor of Ministry from Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary in Evanston, Illinois. Please read his bio. It is quite extensive and very impressive. After our opening prayer and blessing of the food, we will hear the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, through the musical talents of recording artists and professional and gifted artist Shirley Mallett. Shirley has studied at the Conservatory of Music and Mount Mary College. She currently writes commercials for local organizations in Milwaukee. She has worked with such artists as the Winans, Richard Smallwood, Bobby Jones, and others. Please also review her bio in the program book. An official welcome will be brought by NAACP Milwaukee Branch President Clarence P. Nicholas, but on behalf of the NAACP Milwaukee Branch Freedom Fund Committee, we thank you for attending tonight's dinner.
Thank you, Dr. Pitchford Nicholas, to all who make up the dais, and to all of you who make up this august body. Let us pray. Most High God, we give praise and thanks to you for the NAACP Milwaukee branch for 100 years of service to this community, 100 years of advocacy for those whose voices have been dismissed, 100 years of litigation for those whom the justice system was not so just, 100 years of civic engagement, encouraging everyone to engage in their communities and lead at their point of gift, 100 years of promoting education at all levels, both formally and informally, 100 years of pursuing the health and well-beings of all humanity. On this day, we ask your presence, O God, as we celebrate 100 years, as we celebrate those who 100 years ago possessed the vision to see a brighter future and established this branch to achieve it. As we celebrate those who over the past 100 years sacrificed as they served, tirelessly giving of themselves in service to others. As we celebrate those 100 years later, still envisioning a bright future and working to achieve it, still sacrificing as they serve, tirelessly giving of themselves. May your presence be with us as we celebrate this evening. We ask that you also bless this food that we're about to receive, that it will be useful for our physical nourishment, that we may be strengthened for the work that is yet before us. We give praise and thanks in the precious name of your Son, our Savior, Lord, and friend, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day be done. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chase, lean rod felt in the days when hope unborn has died, yet with the steady beat have not a weary feet come to the place for which our Father's side we have come. We have come over a way with the tears that has watered. Oh, we have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughter, out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the us forever in the path we pray. Oh yes, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadows beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Yes, true to our God, true to our native land, our native land, true to our God, true to our native land, our native land.
Miss Shirley Mallett was accompanied by Mr. Lincoln Russell. Wasn't that exceptional? Woo! It is now my great pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Keith Paris. He will be our MC for the evening. Mr. Keith Paris is the host and has the beautiful voice you have heard since 2018 as host of the WNOV 860's Community Voice. Keith is a native of Milwaukee. He is an associate minister at the Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church. He attended the American Baptist College in Nashville, Tennessee, and graduated from Mount St. Mary's University in Edinburgh, Maryland, with a degree in political science. After serving 25 years at the Milwaukee County Department of Health and Human Services, Keith retired. Currently, Keith is the Education and Outreach Coordinator for Milwaukee County's Child Support, Family Focus, Interconnected, Resilient, Essential Fathers, better known as FIRE program, a fatherhood and healthy relations program serving Milwaukee County fathers. We want to personally thank Keith for allowing the NAACP Milwaukee branch to be part of your radio program for the past 6 months to share how the work of the NAACP is making a difference in our community. It is my great honor to bring Keith Paris to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, you can do better than that. Good evening, everyone. What an honor it is to be able to MC the program tonight. Let me do this. You saw in my bio that I'm a proud graduate of Dominican High School, Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin. Oh, I don't, yes, yeah, Grace, oh, Gerard Randall. Here's what I learned in my Catholic education. Be brief and to the point. I'll say it on this side so it'll be brief and to the point. So let me do this before we start. Can we have, if you're here tonight, any of the original members of the NAACP that started 100 years ago? If you're here, could you please stand? If you can, thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge you, and we thank you. There's part of that song that talks about our ancestors, so we thank the folks who had the vision. Look, 100 years ago, we talked about freedom, and even today, in 2024, we're still talking about freedom. And so the work of the NAACP is important in our march to freedom. So with that said, let me introduce the dais, and I will start to my right, even though it says in my left in my scripts, Dr. Gloria Pitchford Nicholas, the chairman of the Freedom Fund Dinner Committee, Ms. Ella Dunbar, vice chairperson of the Freedom Fund Dinner Committee and employed by the Social Development Commission, the Reverend Dr. Martin Childs Jr., the pastor of Pilgrim Rest Missionary Baptist Church, Minister Wendell Harris, president of the Wisconsin Conference of the NAACP, Mr. George Bledsoe, first vice president of the NAACP, and he's not here yet, and so I won't, okay, we got that, all right. And then to my left, now I'm really confused. All right, to my left, we have Congresswoman Gwen Moore, the 4th Congressional. The Honorable Mayor Cavalier Johnson of the City of Milwaukee, and Mrs. Johnson, and my boss, County Executive David Crowley of Milwaukee County. It is my great pleasure now to introduce the president of the Milwaukee branch of the NAACP, Mr. Clarence Nicholas. He was born and he grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia. Clarence is a husband, father, and grandfather. He is a member of the Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church, where he serves as a deacon, Sunday school teacher, Sunday school superintendent, and church clerk. He is a life member of the NAACP, where he served as assistant secretary, first vice president, and now president. He is the founder and organizer of the Milwaukee Black Teachers Caucus from 1977 to 1986. Clarence worked for MPS for 40 years as a teacher in charge, and principal. Clarence is a proud graduate of Wilberforce University, and holds a master's in principal's license and postgraduate study completion with a district and superintendent's license from Cardinal Stritch University. He has also received a paralegal certificate from the Milwaukee Area Technical College. May I introduce to you the president of the Milwaukee branch of the NAACP, Mr. Clarence Nicholas.
Black voters face significant hurdles when voting, from restrictive voter ID laws to insufficient polling places in our community. Confirm your voter registration status now to ensure you're ready to vote. Request your absentee ballot today. Once you have your ballot, fill it out and mail it in immediately. Let's be all in and ready to vote on Tuesday, November 5th.
And welcome to our 100th NAACP Freedom Fund Dinner. And a special thanks to all of you in attendance tonight. The zeitgeist is truly upon us in our history with our ideas, vision, planning, at our Milwaukee branch NAACP. Dr. Gloria Pitchford Nicholas, chair of the Freedom Fund Dinner Committee, and Dr. Pitchford Nicholas has chaired the Freedom Fund Dinner since 2011. She started with our deceased President, James Hall, Jr. This year, with the help of her committee members, through their patience, tireless energy, and prayerful efforts, along with the consent of Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, U.S. House Minority Speaker, who is with us tonight, all represent a peace devious resistance, a blessing from on high. We also have with us tonight our youth. And where's our youth table? Would you stand? Our youth, I'm not certain where the table is. Will you stand? No. Right. And we also have with us Miss Peggy Groppe, the wife of the late Father Groppe. Will you stand? And with her is Fred Reed, the former sergeant of the Commandos. Will you stand? And at this time, I will ask that all the executive committee members and standing committee chairs please stand. And if you wish to see our names, turn to page 28. Would you stand? All standing committees and all committee chairs and executive committee members. All right. Well, let me share with you just for a few minutes some of the concerns and advocacy we have at issue. Ending this year, 2024, and focusing on the new year, 2025, the Honorable Lord A. Bobby, Inc. will play a major role in addressing some of the public injustices in our city of Milwaukee. The abstract of the Honorable Lord Bobby's goals and objectives can be found on page 3 in your program booklet tonight. And we need your donations to help us fully implement this particular foundation. We have also partnered with the Call to Action Committee, Inc., to save North Division High School, and we'll adopt its former feeder school pattern to ensure it is able to maintain its population. Title I funds, along with the Obama 2015 Every Student Succeeds Act, will be sought after to assist us in the process. A call follow-up meeting to our Wednesday, September 25th, 2024 meeting will be announced to the public in January 2025, and at that time, we'll present to you some of the findings that we've found from our ad hoc committees. We have 3, disparities and discriminatory measures that we need to address. I hope you will be all in, and with your support, we can move the Milwaukee community to a more healthier community. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, President Nicholas. U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin has been a U.S. Senator for the state of Wisconsin since 2013. We appreciate her yearly support of the Freedom Fund dinner. She is a life member of the NAACP and a champion for justice. Unfortunately, Senator Baldwin could not be with us tonight. If those know, you're keeping up with politics. She's currently in a debate with her Republican opponent. So we do have a video and greetings from Senator Tammy Baldwin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Milwaukee Branch NAACP President Clarence Nicholas for your leadership and for putting on this incredible event. And Leader Hakeem Jeffries, welcome to Wisconsin, and thank you for being here as our keynote speaker. I'm sorry to miss you and everyone on this important night celebrating Milwaukee NAACP's 100th year. Tonight is also a celebration of our community's political leadership. So I want to thank Congresswoman Gwen Moore, County Executive David Crowley, and Mayor Cavalier Johnson for being here and for your leadership. It's an honor to partner with Congresswoman Moore on reducing health disparities, particularly for Black mothers. And it's an honor to work with County Executive Crowley on bringing more affordable housing to this community. And it's an honor to team up with Mayor Johnson on replacing lead pipes in our drinking water system. Those are but a few examples of the work we do together every day. And it's such an honor to stand with the Milwaukee NAACP as this organization continues to be a driving force in our community, standing up for what's right, speaking out, and never backing down in the face of injustice. As I hear in church as well as at the NAACP, we are not partisan, but we are not blind. So without being partisan, I want to share some thoughts about what we can all plainly see when we talk about tonight's theme, all in for democracy. And I know everyone in this room is all in. And I want to tell you that I'm all in with you. I'm all in for voting rights because regardless of where you live or the color of your skin, you should have the same access to the ballot box, free from voter suppression or intimidation. I'm also all in for our reproductive rights because the right to control one's own body should not depend on your zip code or state. And I'm all in for our health care. Healthcare should be a right, not a privilege. And we need to build on the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, not repeal it. And I'm all in for lowering costs for working families so that they can get ahead. We need to take on corporate greed in order to lower the cost of everything from groceries to gas, prescriptions to housing. And I am all in for tax fairness. Let's restore the expanded child tax credit that cut Black child poverty in half. And let's help first-time home buyers take the most important step to building generational wealth. Let's do those things through our tax code rather than a new round of big tax cuts for the wealthiest people and corporations among us. 10 decades, 100 years, such a remarkable milestone. Tonight, we pay tribute to those who went before us, those who recognized back in 1924 in Milwaukee the need for collective action to achieve equity and political rights. We celebrate the thousands upon thousands who have stepped up over decades to fight racial discrimination and promote economic security for Black people and all persons of color. Thank you, Milwaukee NAACP, for your tireless work. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this historic moment. I am honored to be in this fight alongside you.
And we'd also like to acknowledge from Senator Baldwin's staff, Ms. Tiffany Henry. You here, Tiffany? Mayor Cavalier Johnson has been the mayor of the city of Milwaukee since 2021, first as the acting mayor and then elected as the 45th chief executive of the city of Milwaukee with more than 70% of the vote. He is the first black mayor elected in the city. He's a native of Milwaukee, he is Dominique's husband, and he's the father of 3 children. Let me introduce the Honorable Cavalier Johnson, mayor of the city of Milwaukee.
Did you guys hear that part where he said that he's Dominique's husband? Let me take a point of personal privilege here because Dominique is joining me here tonight, and this weekend we celebrate 8 years married. So I acknowledge my beautiful wife, Dominique Johnson. Well, good evening, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be with you here on this auspicious occasion as we gather to celebrate 100, as Senator Baldwin said, 10 decades, 100 years of the Milwaukee branch NAACP. This milestone is not just a testament to our rich history, but a celebration. It's a celebration of our collective resilience and dedication to justice. I've already acknowledged my wife. Now I want to acknowledge the elected officials who join us in the room. Please stand if you're an elected official, and please give these elected officials a round of applause. These are our partners. These are our partners, and it's their presence that speaks volumes about our shared commitment to advancing civil rights and making Milwaukee a better place for all of its residents, regardless of what zip code, regardless of what neighborhood they may live in. Over the past century, the NAACP has been a cornerstone of advocacy right here in Milwaukee. From battling segregation to championing civil rights, your tireless efforts have helped to shape Milwaukee, have helped to shape our city into a more equitable place for all of its residents. So we celebrate the many successes we've achieved together, the strides in education, the strides in voting rights, the strides in housing equity. These victories, they're a testament to the power of community organizing and the impact of relentless advocacy that the NAACP has been known for decades in Milwaukee and across the United States. Each victory that we've secured here is a reminder that when we stand together, our voices, they resonate, they mean something, and change is possible. Yet, as we celebrate our past, we must also recognize the work that lies ahead. The journey towards justice is ongoing, and our work is far, far from finished. That's why we need each and every single one of you in this room to remain engaged. This is great. We're celebrating 100 years. We got more work to do over the course of the next 100 years. So that's what I encourage. I encourage each of you to continue your advocacy. I encourage each of you to stay engaged, to be vocal and support initiatives that uplift marginalized communities in Milwaukee and Wisconsin and across the United States. Can we do that? So thank you again for your unwavering support of the NAACP and for your dedication to building a better Milwaukee. Let's honor the past 100 years by continuing to fight for the future that each and every single one of us, and our kids and our grandkids, that each and every single one of us deserve. Together, we all can make a difference. And by the powers vested in me as mayor of the city of Milwaukee, I am proclaiming today to be NAACP Milwaukee Branch Day throughout the entire city of Milwaukee.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson, and let me do this. I am Rhonda's husband, so there you go. All right, we're just gonna do it right. Let me. I'll do this. We have an introduction, but I want to just do a personal introduction of the county exec. He was my state representative, and I called his office to complain about something. Normally, you get the aide or you get voicemail. When I called his office, he answered the phone. And I've been voting for him ever since. County Executive Crowley was sworn into office on May of 2020. County Executive Crowley became the youngest and first Black Milwaukee County executive in Milwaukee County history. County Executive Crowley was re-elected to a second term with over 85% of the vote on April 2nd, 2024. He is a native of Milwaukee. He's the husband of Erica, and he's the father of 3 children. The Honorable David Crowley, County Executive of the County of Milwaukee.
Good evening, Milwaukee County. How y'all feeling out there? Y'all doing all right? And I'm not just married to Erica. She is my better 3/4. So y'all recognize who y'all married to, right, as fellas. But first and foremost, can we give the Milwaukee branch of the NAACP a round of applause? I mean, they've been doing so much great work, and when we talk about all in, they have always been all in. And so I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to the Milwaukee branch NAACP, first and foremost, for bringing us together this evening, but also for everything that you have done in this community over the past 100 years. I truly cherish the relationship that our county, Milwaukee County, has had with the Milwaukee NAACP. And I know that I have full confidence that our collaboration will continue for another 100 years. And I think that if we all had an opportunity to talk about or sum up all the contributions for the NAACP, the Milwaukee branch, we'll be here for another 100 years. But I think it's important to just say simply thank you, because personally, many of the folks in this room and on this dais have contributed to my own well-being. And I want you all to know that your efforts have never gone unnoticed. Thank you for continuing to play an instrumental role in advancing our county's vision of achieving racial equity and becoming the healthiest county in the state of Wisconsin. And I also want to say thank you, even though he's not here yet, and maybe I'm speaking something into the future, but the next speaker of Congress, Hakeem Jeffries. I had an opportunity to talk to him a little bit earlier today, and he asked me for any advice. I said, you just got to show out your brother, because he was here not too long ago. But we are grateful for this partnership. We are grateful for the leadership of the Milwaukee NAACP, because every single day they have been fighting for our values. They've been moving our entire county and our entire country forward. And I think all of us in this room understand that we are living in a critical moment. This is a critical moment in our nation's history. And all of us are going to have to be all in come November 5th, when we're going to decide the future of our democracy. And this will be an opportunity for us to determine the kind of future that we want our families to live in, the kind of future that I want my daughters to grow up in. And so we're either going to chart a path forward or we're going to go back. I don't know about you, but I ain't going back. And I think it's clear that none of us believe that we are going back. And so I am simply here not only to say thank you, but to remind everybody that we got some work to do, that we got a job to do, and it's time for us to lay it all on the field. So I want to remind everyone in this room to get out and vote. I want you to vote early, And if you can't get to the polls early, I want you to vote on election day. But whichever you decide to do, I want you to bring your neighbors, your families, your auntie, your uncles. I want you to bring everybody to that polling place. I was always told that democracy was a full contact sport. And if you like football, you ain't doing nothing if you're on the sideline. So we need you to get involved. But also when I say get out and vote, I can't tell you who to vote for on this dais. But I want you to vote with your soul. Because you know what's at stake? The soul of America. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to save it, because the soul of America depends on each and every single one of us in this room. So y'all ready? Y'all ready to let y'all voices be heard? So keep that round of applause going, because this is an opportunity for us to do great work. This is an opportunity to set a new path forward, not only for the NAACP, but for the entire Milwaukee community. And I, too, have a proclamation. I'm not going to read it all, because just like he said, I'm going to be brief and be gone. But I will say, whereas historically, one of its most notable campaigns was the fight against housing discrimination, during which the NAACP's Youth Council marched for 200 consecutive days in support of Val Filler's proposed housing reform. And in protest of Milwaukee's intentional segregation of black residents to the inner core of the city, with their perseverance in the face of vitriol and corruption, helping lead to passing of housing legislation reflecting the Fair Housing Act in Milwaukee in 1968. And whereas during its 100 years of advocacy, the NAACP Milwaukee branch has long been a change maker for generations of residents, with its mission inspiring Milwaukee County's vision of achieving racial equity to become the healthiest county in the state of Wisconsin. Now, therefore, I, David Crowley, County Executive of Milwaukee County, on October 18, 2024, do hereby recognize and honor the NAACP branch for 100 years of courageously fighting to achieve a Milwaukee that is just for everybody, and a society at large which all individuals have equal rights without discrimination based on race. Thank you for paving the way for me to be here.
I should have did this disclaimer from the very beginning. The NAACP is not a partisan organization, but it is a political organization. So you can clap. You organize, you advocate, that's political. And then you choose what party you want to support. Let me introduce or bring to the microphone. I done lost my, okay, the program's over because I've lost my place. Let me introduce Minister Wendell J. Harris. He is the president of the Wisconsin Conference of the NAACP.
Good evening, freedom fighters. I am President Wendell J. Harris, member of the NAACP National Board. I'm your servant, and here we are in the fight of our lives once again. Family, I came here last year with this message, and I said a year ago that you would hear the same message when I come back. We are at war. I need you to hear me. We are at war. Our very existence is being challenged as we speak and sit here and enjoy this moment together. So as your leader in the NAACP Wisconsin State Conference, a member of the NAACP National Board, I tell you, we are not going to give up. We're going to win. We have never given up, and we never will. I'm not going to keep on with this conversation. I have to say this. I don't know how many of you know that as I speak now, and I'm sure my political friends, politicians know, that there has been a lawsuit filed making the claim that 146,000 people on the roads in Milwaukee are eligible to vote because they do not live in Milwaukee County anymore. The NAACP has filed a brief in that battle. We're going to win that one. But this is what we're up against. Our very existence is at stake. So thank you, Mr. President, for all the hard work that you've done. This 100-year celebration is well-deserved, and I am so proud that I've been a part of this 100-year celebration with the Milwaukee branch for almost 40 years. Thank you for having me.
There was a bit of a typo in your program, so let me do this. We'd like to invite a representative from our Centennial Premier sponsor, Molson Coors, Ms. Triana Evans. Ms. Evans is the Director of Beverage and Supply Chain Partnerships at Molson Coors Beverage Company. And again, we're sorry for the typo inside the program.
He made up for the typo by pronouncing my name right. Well, good evening, everyone. I am Triana Evans, and I'm the Director of Beverage and Supply Chain Partnerships at Molson Coors Beverage Company. It is an absolute honor to be here today, especially as we celebrate 100 years of the work that the NAACP Milwaukee branch has done for us. Such an incredible job. They have been working for equality, well, a long time, but longer than Molson Coors has been here as far as perfecting our first cold beer. We're so proud to continue our support as a lead sponsor for the organization and for the Freedom Fund dinner today. It's a great honor to be here to represent Molson Coors, but also for our people. And I say that if there is anything better than being here for this historic moment, I would say we could add a Molson beverage. And I would say definitely being here with such amazing people. And I have here also my family and my friends, and Dr. Eve Hall from Milwaukee Urban League, President and CEO, and also I serve on the board with her. And I appreciate also we have our BEV, our Black Employee Voices members here from Molson Coors. And I just want to give a big shout out to Mr. Nicholas, and for his lovely wife, for the work that she does. And late at night, she called me at 8 o'clock in the evening, Monday, making sure I knew exactly the program and what needed to happen. So thank you, and thank your husband. And everyone on the board and the volunteers that has put this event together, I know that pulling off an event like this is not a small feat, and you do it without any complaints and doing a great job, so thank you. And being part of Molson Coors supply chain, we know it takes a lot of coordinating, planning, and more than a little caffeine from our ZOA energy drinks to make an event come together smoothly. I also want to say that we've been a partner with NAACP for 13 years, and we know that this relationship and partnership makes sense. If you think about it, it's the things that go together well, ribs and Miller, summer and baseball, but also the partnership that we have with NAACP and also with all the partnerships that we have here today. And I must acknowledge also all the work that Molson is doing for Milwaukee as well, supporting leadership programs at MATC, MSOE, my alma mater, and we also have been supporting and actually a founding partnership with Thurgood Marshall since 1987. So thank you. Our company is investing not only in Milwaukee, but in our people to make sure that we are driving and that diversity gap that we have in disparity, making sure that we help to close that gap. So I will cover my 3 minutes, but I would just close out by saying, much like the NAACP knows, we all know that there is more work to do. And I know that Molson Coors, and as long as I am on this earth, I'm all in for the long haul. And just like these Milwaukee winters that are just about to come upon us, we know that we have the warmth here to bring our efforts to make sure that we address what these gaps are. And I can't give a proclamation like County Executive David Crawley or the mayor, but what I will say today is my proclamation is that I'm changing my annual membership to a lifetime membership. And as my family is here as my witness, that's where my money goes if I'm gone, okay? So I say to you, thank you for all your work, and cheers to the next 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. If she would have said Miller one more time, I saw people licking their lips at the way she described Miller. And again, they let me know that if you didn't have an opportunity to have your picture taken in front of the NAACP picture area when dinner's served, if you want to excuse yourself, you can still go and have your picture taken. Also, as part of your tickets, you'll see that there's a stub on there. If you complete that stub and leave it in the envelopes on the table, that is your membership for the NAACP. So please, please, please fill out those stubs. And to become members, if you're not members, renew your membership as part of the NAACP. It's dinner time. So we want you to enjoy the excellent meal that's been prepared for you, and we'll be back a little bit later to resume the program. Welcome back. Sound like I'm on my radio program. Welcome back. Let me do this. Let me acknowledge the Milwaukee School of the Arts Jazz Ensemble. They played during dinner. They play so beautiful, don't you agree? I was going to do Sexual Chocolate. But no, outstanding. These are students in the Milwaukee Public School System, and so thank you. Also, on your way out, at the end of the program, if you can, the Wisconsin Black Historical Society has a display out where you have the history of the NAACP in Milwaukee. One of the first remembrances I can have of the NAACP was my mother took me doing those open housing marches to St. Boniface Church, and there I heard Dick Gregory. But there I also saw the NAAC Youth Council, which became the Commandos. And here's something else as we move on. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. They rioted all over the country except in Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, because we had been marching for 200 consecutive days, 15,000 people peacefully walked downtown, peacefully walked after 200 days. And anybody knows that 16th Street Viaduct, which is named after Father Grappi now, was just like being in Lowndes County, Alabama, right? But we kept on marching. And one quick thing, and then we'll move on and we'll get to our keynote speaker. It was Val Phillips who, as an alderman, every year would introduce open housing legislation every year that she was an alderperson prior to the passing of the Open Housing Act in 1968. So with all that said, it gives me great honor. I was getting emails and text messages. They said, is Gwen going to speak? Yes, Congresswoman Gwen Moore will speak. She has the great honor of introducing our keynote speaker. So for no further ado, let me introduce our own congressperson of the 4th Congressional District, Congressman Gwendolyn Moore.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. I am so honored to be here at the 100th anniversary of the NAACP. And you know, it was not a joke when our MC, Keith Paris, asked all of those who were founding members of the Milwaukee branch of the NAACP to stand, because they are standing with us right now. And I believe that Val Phillips was one of the founding members of the Milwaukee NAACP. And that is why I think it's so important that we continue, that memories are not about just memorializing people and events and institutions that are gone, but keeping them alive by our service. I am so grateful to you, Mr. President, Clarence Nicholas, to our committee, to our chairwoman, Ms. Pitchford Nicholas. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. And to our president of our state convening party, our minister for this evening. Thank you so very, very much for this honor. I didn't know until I got here that I was going to have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker here this evening. And I said, boy, I wonder, they must have known who he was, otherwise they wouldn't have invited him, so I shouldn't have to say very much about him. But there are things that I want to share with you that weren't in the program. First of all, I want you to know that this is a brother that was well equipped to ascend to the leadership position that he's now in, and ultimately to become the next Speaker of the House of Representatives. Oh, yeah. You know, he's from Brooklyn, and I know there are people out here. Where's my son Supreme? Shout, holla out somewhere. I know you're here. Brooklyn, all right. There are people who understand the whole culture that is part of Brooklyn, really connecting with people in the street, connecting with a youthful voice for equity and for justice. And Hakeem grew up in that environment. How can you ever become the Speaker of the House when you grow up wearing tennis shoes and talking about Tupac and Biggie? You know, it's not exactly the trajectory to become Speaker of the House. But this young man went on, and he got his little bachelor's degree, and he went to Washington, D.C. to Georgetown and got a master's degree in public policy, and went back to New York, to the Big Apple, and got his law degree. And so he really understood both sides of the fence before he served in the state legislature in New York. Now, when I first met him, he was an upstart who had run against an incumbent. I hadn't met him. He had run it against an incumbent, and we don't like people who run against incumbents. That incumbency thing is very nice. But he had run against an incumbent and scared the incumbent so bad that the incumbent didn't run again the next year. So I didn't know who this young, upstart was. And they came and they put him on the budget committee. And I was on the budget committee. And the first time he opened his mouth, I stopped and looked at him. And I said, "You are the one." And I told him right at that moment that he was the one. Like I said, you don't know what it is, but when you see it, you know what it is. And Hakeem Jeffrey was that person. He was somebody who came in, he's humble. But he's powerful, he's smart. You're gonna have a treat tonight to hear the message that he's going to deliver to us, because he is quick-witted, he is quick on the tongue, he got the Brooklyn thing going, and he got the New York law degree thing going all at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, my brother, Hakeem Sekou Jeffries, next Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, Milwaukee. What an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you during this incredible anniversary. So thankful for all of you. Let me first thank the great Gwen Moore, your Congress member. So appreciative of her leadership, her friendship, her partnership, and her mentorship. We know that Gwen Moore is a civil rights champion, a voice for the voiceless, a defender of democracy, and a powerful, profound, principled, progressive public servant. Milwaukee and the communities that she represents are better off today because of Congresswoman Gwen Moore. We're so thankful for her leadership and her advocacy. Certainly, President Nicholas, thank you for all that you do. Distinguished members of the board here in Milwaukee, and of course to Minister Harris and the state leadership, to Mayor Johnson, thank you for what you do, what you represent in the leadership of this great city, county executive, Crowley, all of my distinguished colleagues in government, each and every one of you. What an honor and a privilege to be here as you celebrate this 100th anniversary. Now, I'm aware that you know that I know closely your keynote speaker from last year, Dr. Hassan Kwame Jeffries, who just happens to be my younger brother. So I called him earlier today and I said, "Well, you spoke last year, I'm speaking this year. It appears as though you were my warm-up act." He said, "Well, that may be the case, but I raised the bar so high, I don't think you're going to be able to jump over it." So I'm thankful that, notwithstanding you hearing from Dr. Hassan Kwame Jeffries, and so appreciative that you took the time to spend the time with him, that you would invite me back during this incredibly consequential time in our history. It's a time that I think, one, I used to talk about, Gwen and I, we would talk about a lot of things on the floor of the House, and one of the opportunities that I had during my service in the Congress was talk to John Lewis, of course, about a variety of different things. He would speak about the power of imagination, of seeing
a better future, and then going out, being all in, and working hard to bring that about. You know, I had some experience with this. Gwen knows that we started this Congress in a very interesting way. Republicans on the other side of the aisle, not partisan, this is just the facts, couldn't get their act together. And so it was 15 different votes before they elected a speaker. That was the longest period of time before a Congress started since before the Civil War. Now, I was the House Democratic leader, so I was the nominee for Speaker on our side each and every time, which means that Glenn voted for me 15 different times. Thankful for that. And finally, when it was all said and done, I go back home to Brooklyn. I'm on Fulton Street. It's a major commercial corridor in the district, and I see a young man. He calls me over, says, Congressman, aren't you the guy that a few years ago on the floor of the United States Senate quoted the notorious B.I.G. during the Senate impeachment trial? I said, yeah, that was me. And then he said, and now I'm to understand that you're the House Democratic leader? I said, God is good. And then without missing a beat, this is Brooklyn, y'all, without missing a beat, he said, how the hell did that happen? So I had to think quickly on my feet, Gwen. I had to think quickly on my feet, but then it came to me. I looked at him, I said, well, you never thought that hip-hop would take it this far. The power of imagination. The power of imagination. So I'm thankful for 100 years. 100 years ago, the founders of this great branch of the NAACP imagined a better future. So much segregation and racial oppression and Jim Crow all around the nation. They imagined a better future. And then they worked hard to bring it about. Thankful for that work. Thankful for that journey. Thankful for their achievements, their aspirations, and the accomplishments that occurred over that 100-year period of time. And we know that as we sit here right now, there's still much more work that needs to be done, but I think when you mark 100 years of any journey, you've got to think about how far we've been able to come. The progress that you made right here in Milwaukee, in the state of Wisconsin, the progress that we were able to make in this nation. Just think about it. During that 100-year period of time, relatively recently, of course, having emerged out of our experience in emancipation, and then to see what has happened in recent years, African Americans went from the outhouse to the White House with the election of President Barack Obama. That's progress. Of course, we know that African Americans went from the outhouse to the People's House. Now there are 60 members of the Congressional Black Caucus, more than at any other point in time in American history. That's progress. In fact, African Americans also went from the outhouse to the courthouse when Ketanji Brown Jackson was seated on the United States Supreme Court, and she's doing a wonderful, brilliant job. And if we do our jobs over the next few weeks, then we'll have the opportunity to see a woman of color in the Oval Office at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue when we elect Kamala Harris as the 47th President of the United States of America. I'm talking about the power of imagination. The power of imagination. That's one of the gifts that the founders of this great branch gave to all of us. They had to have imagination with what they were faced with, and look at what has been created. Now, of course, we know that these are challenging times in terms of where we are and where we may go as a nation. America is at a fork in the road. And the question is, which direction will we choose? Will we choose enlightened leadership or extremism? Which direction will we choose? We want to move America forward. Some want to turn back the clock. We're fighting hard to bring people together. Others want to tear us apart. We believe in truth and reconciliation. Others are trying to destroy diversity, equity, and inclusion. Which direction will we choose? But we know that the NAACP has always recognized that here in this great country, here in America, our diversity is a strength. It is not a weakness. We are a gorgeous mosaic of people who've come from all throughout the world, some voluntary, others involuntary, but as Dr. King would often remind us, we may have come over on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. We are white, we are black, we are Latino, we are Asian, we are Native American, we are Christian, we are Jewish, we are Muslim, we are Hindu, we are religious, we are secular, we are gay, we are straight, we are women, we are men, we are young, we are older, we are citizens, we are dreamers. Out of many, we are one. That's what makes America a great country. And no matter what kind of hateful rhetoric is coming from the other side of the aisle, we're not going to let anyone take that away from us. Not now, not ever. You are America. We are America. Together, we're going to make America the best version of herself. We're all in. We're all in. America at a fork in the road. Which direction will we choose? Will we choose people over politics or Project 2025? Which direction will we choose? Seems to me that's a clear choice. Project 2025 is about extreme MAGA Republican control over your lives. Those are the facts. It's in a 922-page document. Project 2025 will end Medicare as we know it. Project 2025 will abolish the Department of Education. Project 2025 will prohibit your ability to receive overtime pay. Project 2025 would defund Head Start and other programs designed to give our young children a fresh start and fair start in life. Project 2025 would even authorize the government to undertake surveillance of pregnancies and miscarriages of women all across America. Project 2025 is a dangerous, diabolical, and dastardly document, and together we've got to stop Project 2025 from ever seeing the light of day. We got to be all in. There's a better way. We will continue to put people over politics. We will fight to lower housing costs and grow the middle class. We will strengthen the relationship between the police and our community. We can fix our broken immigration system and secure the border. We can continue to combat the climate crisis with the fierce urgency of now. We must protect Social Security, protect Medicare, protect Medicaid, protect the Affordable Care Act, protect working families, protect the middle class, protect our children, protect our seniors, protect our veterans, protect our unions, protect our dreamers, protect our democracy, and we must always protect a woman's freedom to make her own reproductive health care decisions. We've got to be all in. People over politics. Now let me park right there momentarily just to make a brief observation and share a thought or two with the men of our community. The men of our community, we hear you, we see you, and we're committed to making life better for you. And we know that there's more that needs to be done. Civil rights agenda is incredibly important. Social justice is incredibly important criminal justice reform that Gwen and I have worked hard on. Incredibly important. But we know that more needs to be done, particularly as it relates to the economic empowerment of our community. Now, that's not foreign to the civil rights movement. It relates directly to the civil rights movement, to the legacy and history of the NAACP. When hundreds of thousands of people gathered in Washington, D.C. on the National Mall on August 28, 1963, during that legendary gathering. They gathered, of course, under the full name of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. That's the civil rights legacy. It was about jobs and economic empowerment. And so standing on the legacy of those who came before us, they already showed us the way. And we know we've got to do more, to lean in, to focus on job creation, focus on work, focus on wages, focus on wealth creation, focus on entrepreneurship, focus on home ownership, focus on access to capital, and making sure we can bring economic development and economic empowerment to life for the men, for the brothers in our community, and for all communities across the country. And the good news is Vice President Harris has a plan. We hear you, we see you, and we're committed to making life better for you. America at a crossroads. Which direction will we choose? Can I give you one more? Will we choose democracy or demagoguery? America at a crossroads. Which direction will we choose? We must always protect and defend our democracy against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we must do it together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. Forcefully, responsibly, emphatically, energetically, democratically, openly, and meticulously until freedom rings in the United States of America. Together, let's crush racism. Together, let's crush anti-Semitism. Together, let's crush sexism. Together, let's crush xenophobia. Together, let's crush homophobia. Together, let's crush Islamophobia. Together, let's crush anti-Asian hate. Together, let's crush bigotry in all forms. Together, let's build a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are you all in? Are you all in? Are you all in? All right, so as I take my seat, let me just make this one last observation, because there'll be some who will suggest that the House Democratic leader came and suggested that democracy was on the ballot. Democracy was on the line. Democracy was at risk. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. It's not hype. It's not a hypothetical. It's not hyperbole. It's the actual reality that we confront. I was on the floor that fateful day on January 6th when the mob stormed the Capitol. At the time, I was, as Gwen knows, the chair of the House Democratic Caucus. That made me the number 5 Democrat in the Congress at the time, so I had the honor of being seated in the leadership section on the floor. I was right next to the great Jim Clyburn. Jim Clyburn was the number 3 Democrat at the time, the House Majority Whip, and right next to Jim was Steny Hoyer, number 2 Democrat, House Majority Leader at the time. The number 4 Democrat, my good friend Catherine Clark, she's the Democratic Whip now. She was the Assistant Speaker at the time, number 4, but she was off campus. So I'll never forget, Speaker Pelosi was, of course, up front at the rostrum. And in the middle of the debate, because the election deniers, the MAGA extremists, were trying to halt the certification, debating it on the floor, the sergeant at arms interrupts the debate and says the mob has breached the Capitol. They're on the second floor, a few steps outside of the House chamber. So be prepared to hit the ground and secure the gas masks that are underneath your seats. I got to be honest, y'all, at the time, I had been in Congress a little over 4 terms. I had no idea there were gas masks underneath each and every seat. So I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, this is a situation. Pastor damn is in the Bible. I think I'm all right. And then, next thing you know, I see Speaker Pelosi. She's aggressively removed by her security team, Special Capitol Police detail. So thankful for their bravery, their heroism, for the work that they did in standing up for our democracy. So I see Speaker Pelosi, she's removed by the special security team. She's number 1. I see Steny Hoyer, House Majority Leader, number 2. He's removed by the security team from the floor. Security team comes right up next to me, and I'll never forget it. They look at Jim Clyburn, and they say, "Sir, you have to leave now," with such urgency in their voice. So I'm sitting there. Hakeem Jeffries, chair of the House Democratic Caucus. I see Speaker Pelosi, she's number 1, she's removed. I see Steny Hoyer, House Majority Leader, number 2, he's removed. Jim Clyburn, number 3 Democrat, House Majority Whip, "Sir, you have to leave now." Catherine Clark, number 4, she was off campus. I'm there, number 5 Democrat. Chair of the House Democratic. I was waiting for somebody to come get me. But as Gwen knows, they never came. And so I thought to myself, well, it's a good thing I'm from Brooklyn. Because, y'all, we've got to be prepared to stand up for our democracy. We've got to be prepared to fight for our democracy. And the most important thing that happened that day was not that we were temporarily run off the floor of the House of Representatives as part of an effort to halt the certification. No, what you've shown us, what your 100 years represents of being all in, your resilience is the type of resilience that the American people have always shown and that we tried to show that night, because we came back to the Capitol, we completed our work, we certified the election, and we made sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would become the President and Vice President of the United States of America. The peaceful transfer of power would endure, because I've learned growing up in the Cornerstone Baptist Church that a setback is nothing more than a setup for a comeback. Are y'all ready for the great comeback? Are y'all ready for the great comeback? Are y'all ready for the great comeback? So all we need to do is make sure that, particularly over these next few weeks, we continue to show up and stand up and speak up for what is right. And if we do that, then I'm convinced, just speaking for myself, that we will win the day and win the week and win the month and win the year, win the hearts and minds of the American people, take back control of the United States House of Representatives, hold the Senate, elect Kamala Harris, the 47th President of the United States of America, and continue our march toward a more perfect union. We're all in. God bless you. God bless the NAACP. May God bless the United States of America.
Thank you very much, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. And at this time, I would ask you to come up again, just for a moment. I have something special for you. You know, your ethics committee will not allow us to give you a gift of any more than $50. Right. But I have a nice pen to welcome you. I'm going to pin you. Honorary. He's our honorary NAACP member. Lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Special gift. Also, I want to thank all of our program sponsors and supporters. Freedom Web is our labor and industry climate justice chair. But over the years with the labor and industry, Frida Webb, Ruth Sabrinsky, and second Vice President Paul Blackman have come together and used numerous ad hoc committees to put together a great historical book outlining discriminatory measures that have taken place in apprenticeships, the labor industry, and the book's name is A Dream Deferred. That book will be out front for sale if you wish to stop and get a copy. Let me also let you know that on October 24th, 2024, at Providence Baptist Church, a political forum will be held with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, sharing each other's platforms. Our Political Actions Committee is responsible for that forum. And I should say, Brother Ricky Townsell, chair, and Brother George Blitzow, co-chair, are responsible for that forum. I'll reiterate, please sign your stuff on your ticket. And if you do not wish to become a member, you can give it to one of your family members or a friend. And I want to thank you again for coming out, supporting us on our 100th Freedom Fund anniversary. Thank you very much.
Well, we were on time. We were on time. So I want to thank you. And let me thank the committee for giving me this great honor to be the MC this evening. One thought. If we do what we need to do, and if we keep the struggle alive, 100 years from now, the NAACP will not be necessary. Anybody hear what I'm saying? If we move towards freedom, if we continue the struggle, the idea is to eliminate the need for the NAACP. Y'all get what I'm saying? So the struggle continues. So let me thank you all for the NAACP for all the work that you've done. Let me thank the Reverend Dr. Hakeem Jeffries. He preached tonight, didn't he? And I received a text saying, well, we're not political, but that was pretty close to partisan. So again, I want to thank you. Thank you, President Nicholas. Thank you, Dr. Pitchford Nicholas, all of you. We will now have our final prayer from the Reverend Dr. Martin Childs.
For all that has been said, for all that has been shared on this evening, let us pray. Again, dear God, we give you praise and thanks for this evening's celebration and for all who attended. May the legacy of the past 100 years support us in the work that yet remains before us. As we remember how you strengthened the NAACP Milwaukee branch to serve in the past, we are reminded of God's words of encouragement to Joshua. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. May we too be encouraged as we hear your words to us. As I was with those who served the NAACP Milwaukee branch the past 100 years, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. May we go forth all in. May we go forth all in. May we go forth all in. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. God bless you. Go in peace.